Ricky, we're good. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Board of Education meeting for January 7th, 2025. May I ask you to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance? I was just going to say, so we're going to, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So Happy New Year to everyone. It's our first meeting of 2025. Wanted to remind everyone, just as a housekeeping item, that as part of our ongoing commitment to provide the community with engagement, you always can join these meetings virtually and send questions or comments by email to swrboemeeting@k12.newyork.us for inclusion during our second public comment session. First up on our order of business tonight will be our approval of our agenda. May I get a motion? Jim, S., and Katie, any discussion or questions on the agenda? All in favor? 7-0. Next up, we have our superintendent's report. Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome. For the first part of our report, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Good evening and Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the first board meeting of 2025. The holidays have given our school and community many opportunities for SWR to showcase our talents, generosity, and goodwill. As per usual, sports. Coach Joe Condon will be recognized for his historic 300th wrestling victory here at SWR. Coach Condon has been a staple in the SWR wrestling program going back to when he himself wrestled for the Wildcats. Tomorrow, January 8th, Coach Condon will be honored at the event taking place in the high school gym at 5 p.m. In other wrestling-related news, last Saturday, SWR hosted our third annual Don Jansen Wrestling Tournament. At this tournament, the SWR Wildcat wrestlers earned the championship trophy. Michael Hubner, the defending 800-meter state champion, has been tearing up the indoor track season. Michael currently has the fourth fastest 600-meter time in the country. Moving on to basketball, our girls' varsity basketball team is playing great this winter season and making us at SWR proud. Our girls' varsity basketball team is currently undefeated and at the top of their league. Both the boys and girls' varsity and JV basketball teams hosted the Coaches vs. Cancer event at our high school. Our teams raised over $1,000 for the American Cancer Society. Over 200 SWR students are participating in the Youth Basketball League run by community programs. Moving on to fencing, Joseph Lasquadro plays extremely well in the regional Long Island fencing competition. At the same competition, Charles Peterson won a bronze medal. The future's looking bright for our SWR fencing team. Our first annual Spirit Night will be taking place on January 15th with our K-5 players participating in scrimmages before the girls' varsity basketball game at 6 p.m. at the high school and a parade at halftime. Now, as we move away from sports, I'd like to shout out and showcase some of the amazing academics happening here at SWR. Eden Yehu has been named the winner of the fiction writing category for the Young Arts Artist Writing Competition. This is an annual nationwide competition that sees thousands of young people send in their creative writings, and Eden wrote the best fiction. Congratulations, Eden. Our high school's Tri-M Music Honor Society has showcased their dedication to the Shoreham-Wading River community. They volunteered their time and talent by playing music at various community organizations. Looking ahead, an important event at our high school is the Basket Bonanza. The Basket Bonanza is an annual event that benefits end-of-the-year events for our juniors and seniors. Planning is underway now. Please keep an eye out for further announcements. The student members of Mock Trial are preparing for their very first year of competitions against other local mock trial teams in the courtroom. It is going to be an exciting and adventurous endeavor for our budding attorneys. Finally, let us talk about National English Honor Society. Progress is moving along. With our approved application, we plan on sending out student applications by the end of the month. Furthermore, we are planning our spring induction ceremony. Thank you all, and once again, Happy New Year.
Wow. Thank you, Ms. Dean. Very impressive. Great news. So just a few more happenings from around the school district. Over at the middle school, they will be having their annual Engineers Teaching Algebra program, where an engineer, Mark Love, will visit 8th grade math classes and bring algebra to life with real-life applications. The Quartertones and the Chromatics groups spread holiday cheer by visiting senior living communities before the winter break. 6th grade students went to see a live performance of A Christmas Carol at Theater 3, had a chance to engage with the actors at the end of the show. Seventh grade students had the annual Continental Congress on December 13th. Very passionate speeches given by students in full colonial regalia. And this year, the votes went for
Uh-oh, Tories?
independence.
Independent, oh, okay.
It is Tories some years, though, but it was
Usually,
independent.
yeah,
They do such a
making
good
sure.
job. People vote with
I
the,
just wanted to throw out a red herring, see if it stuck.
yeah, yes. Over at Wading River, students are climbing into the new year at Wading River School with a National Parks-themed Whittle Gym experience. The Wading River PTA after-school enrichment activities begin tomorrow, and they include ballet and karaoke. Both activities are filled to capacity. It's a new program where parents volunteer to run these unique and fun learning classes. And students all read at Wading River the book of the month, Ada Twist Scientist, as they begin to start preparing for the March Science Fair. Over at Miller Avenue welcomed back students after the winter break with Hibernation Day in several classrooms. Students and teachers wore cozy clothes, learned about animals that hibernate, did bear math, and welcomed winter in a warm way. That's all. We might do that.
I was just going to say, can we do that for a board meeting? Maybe we do that for a board meeting.
That sounds great. Clubs continue to meet at Miller Avenue every Wednesday afternoon. There are 8 clubs that meet, and the new additions in this year of Leadership Club and Zumba have been a big hit. And first grade chorus, we have kindergarten, first, second grade chorus at Miller Avenue. But first grade chorus, led by our music teacher, Miss Verity, they are holding in-school performances next month, and they have been diligently rehearsing in preparation for their big show. And then finally, on tonight's agenda, we have a marketing update from our Realtors JLL. We have Ray, John, and Mary here to give a brief update on how that's progressing. And we have a presentation from Ms. Wallbauer on our ENL and World Languages program. Mr. Hayward will give an update on enrollment and class size. That will help as we develop the budget. And thank the chair of our Space and Facilities Committee, Erin Sornas-Moran, who's going to give a brief update on recommendations from the Space and Facilities Committee. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Appreciate that. Next up would be our opportunities for board members. Does anyone want to add anything tonight? All good? I just have one quick update. Last night was the legislative committee meeting. So we've identified a few specific priorities for the year. Looking forward to continuing the advocacy efforts. The main topics continue to be bolstering our financial health, satisfying the state obligations to continue to provide substantial relief from costly mandates, and support school safety were the 3 main highlights. So look forward to those in the brochure coming out shortly. And then in addition, and the chairperson will be here for the February 11th meeting to give us an update as well. And I did want to thank Mr. Poole and our chairperson of the Legislative Committee, Ms. Jessie Seidwitz-Byrne. They both signed a letter that'll be submitted regarding our universal pre-K funding, the formula, in which we're currently capped the allocation for our Shoreham-Wading River School District at $5,400 per student. So part of the advocacy was a signed letter to, again, acknowledge to our legislators, state representatives, that we're held to that number, and as a result, we're unable to spend the funds in a way in which we can really provide UPK for our students or potential students. So thank you for that, Mr. Poole.
Great.
Okay. Continuing forward, is there any statements from residents on the agenda, Ms. Kirschus? Thank you. Okay, cool. And we'll move forward with reports and reviews. First up will be our Briarcliff property update. We spoke about JLL Real Estate, Mr. Ray Ruiz. Thank you, John and Mary, for being here. Look forward to that. Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. My name is Ray Ruiz, Managing Director from Jones Lang LaSalle. For those who haven't met, hello, thank you for coming out. Frigid evening. Superintendent Poole, President Sheridan, and Board, thank you very much again. We're very excited for the opportunity to represent the district in the sale of the Briarcliff building. We'd first like to start off with a little video presentation that we created that will be part of our marketing package. And then, of course, we'll talk about some of the additional marketing strategies we have. Can someone run?
Ricky, you hit play? He's got it.
Okay. No sound? Okay.
No sound. Okay. I don't think we're going to have sound.
Okay.
So you're going to have to audio it yourself.
Just
You want-
imagine a little French music.
I'm just going to say that. Who's got their iPhone? We'll We'll play it in the background.
Thank you. So, in a minute, I'll have John Nielsen come up and introduce himself. But once again, it's not lost on us how important it is for the district and the community to ensure that the property is sold to some entity or group that would benefit the community and at the same time meet the standards, the financial standards of what we're trying to achieve with respect to the school and the sale. We recognize that prior to COVID, there had been an effort to try and sell it, and then during COVID, it was reutilized for the district. But it's our goal to rebrand and reintroduce the property to what we will want to call a wide community of various end users and community organizations. So, you know, we have a little presentation on one of the slides. The next slide, I'm going to introduce John Nielsen, who's on the team. John, coming up. And just explain some of the marketing materials we're using in our approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Nielsen. I'm a vice president with Jones Lang LaSalle. So with respect to our marketing process, as Ray mentioned earlier, our goal is to leave no stone unturned and ultimately bring the largest awareness to end users and potential developers to the project. We do that by using multiple mediums, digital, online subscription services, namely CoStar and LoopNet. So anyone who's looking for potential sites in this area of town can utilize those online services. We also utilize traditional print media as well that we distribute to our personal database. So we're using multiple mediums to attract and bring the highest use of attention to this project that we just commenced in our last 30 days. So I think ultimately... So, as mentioned earlier, this is more of our print media, which really highlights location, you know, high-level property highlights, floor plan, interior photos that not only will be listed online on LoopNet, CoStar, and some of our premium subscription services, but will also be on the desk of end users, developers throughout the community and throughout Long Island as well. And at this point now, I will turn it over to my colleague, Mary Ann. To discuss ultimately our targeted users and who he's spoken to thus far.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Ann Dugan. I'm Vice President with Jones Lang LaSalle in Melville. We're very excited to be partnering with the district on this project. Just understanding the positioning and the just the value of the building within the community and to the district. It's very exciting to be working on it. So far, we've launched the property in these various channels of marketing, online, direct mail, and the responses are starting to roll in. So what we've done is we're focusing our efforts on going out to like-kind, not-for-profit, special needs service providers, child care facilities, the usual suspects, as we call it, just to see, because these are typically the people that would be hitting us up first with inquiries. So all inquiries are brought in. We warm up the contacts, just talking over what their intended uses are, just to ensure that everything aligns with the district's vision for highest and best use. And we look forward to, it's just the first 30 days, so as you can see on the marketing strategy and timeline, many of these have already been completed, and as we roll out throughout our LoopNet and CoStar and our proprietary databases, we anticipate there being a much larger scale response in the next couple of weeks. So we're kicking off the new year right, and I think that was everything. So thank you. Thanks for your time.
Great. Well, thank you again. And if there are any questions that anybody might have, by all means, please let us know. But, once again, this is a very important project for us. We're very excited and confident that we can find a solution and a buyer that will meet the needs of the district. Any questions,
Thank you, Mr.
anybody?
Rose.
Anybody have any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
No? All good?
All good?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Mary Ann. Appreciate you being here. Okay. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so, okay. Yeah, I'll just go, okay. So next up, we have our Space and Facilities Committee Chairperson, Ms. Erin Sanders Morano, please. Saunders, all right, I messed it up. I'm renaming you tonight, didn't tell you that?
That's okay. Everybody says it like that. Hi, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me tonight. So at our meeting, our Space and Facilities meeting on December 17th, we, as a committee, came up with some suggestions, what we would like to see our capital reserve money used for from the 2021 budget. That includes Miller Avenue, classroom ceiling and lighting replacement. These are our recommendations. Wading River, at the exterior window and door replacement. At the middle school, it would be the science room and Rise classroom. That would be the interior renovation. And at our high school here, it would be site construction and replacement of the turf, drainage improvements, structural respray of track event surfaces, and striping, and install perimeter trench drain between track and field on our current track and field that we have here at the high school.
So those are the recommendations from the Space and Facilities to use for the 2021 capital.
On the technology.
There's one more item. There's one more.
Oh, there's one more. I'm
Just
so
gonna ask-
sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that was.
Hang
for-
on.
That's where I was going.
And also
Just make sure.
technology to improve
Thank you.
district-wide technology projects and equipment replacement. Forgive
Okay,
me.
great.
Sorry. It's been a long day.
No, it's okay. I completely agree. So thank you for that. Are there any other questions, comments on the recommendation from the Space and Facilities Committee?
Just for clarification, the funding source for these projects would come from what possibly?
The 2021 capital reserve.
Okay, so that's funding that we have in place for this type of work, right?
Yes.
Correct.
That's the one. And I would thank the committee who spent
Yeah.
at least a couple nights, at least 5 hours reviewing the projects that were potential projects for
Yeah.
that and thoughtfully coming up with the list. So all that time and
Yeah.
energy.
And there's a long list. So
Thank you. I know there was one other item, I think, at the committee meeting, that establishing a second
2025?
of a 2025.
yes, that was not on here. We apologize for that. But it was establishing
Another
And
capital reserve?
a new capital reserve
Okay.
moving forward.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Mr. Poole, do we have an approximate time period that the scope of work would be for the site construction with the synthetic field?
That would be completed at and around for the 27-28 school year. So if we have the funding approved this May, the designs are drawn up, it goes up to state ed for approval, then we go out to bid, we award the bid and scheduled, so the turf field would be renovated around the 27-28, or in advance of the 27-28 school year, right in that timeframe.
And about how long would that
So the turf
take?
field, I'm sorry?
About how long?
To
The project
to do the
itself.
project? I'm going to ask Mr. Arcuri. Hopefully they do it over a summer, but
Sure, it'll be done in phases. The technology will go across a couple of school years. The middle school work would be completed over a single school year. As far as the Kootenella field, that's probably the 27-28 school year. Science, we would love to get done 27 school year. So it all will not be done at once. It would be staggered.
Okay, thank you. you.
Any other thoughts and questions? Okay, thank you for the
Okay,
update.
thanks,
Thank the
guys.
committee members. We appreciate all the support.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Cool. Okay, next up, we're going to have our review of the English Language Learner Program and World Language Update with Ms. Nicole Walbauer. Thank you.
Good evening. Happy New Year. Thank you to the Board of Education and the administration and community for allowing me the opportunity tonight to share some information about our English as a New Language and World Languages programs here in Shoreham-Wading River. Before we talk about world languages and English as a new language, I just wanted to share some very recent exciting news about the progress we've been making with our English language arts program, which of course all of our students participate in. You may have seen the recent Newsday article that highlighted our Long Island schools' growth on the New York State Regents exam. Our Shoreham-Wading River High School passing rate increased nearly 4.5 percentage points, and our mastery level increased nearly 14 points, which is something that I feel is very impressive over the course of just one school year. So I just wanted to point that out. In addition, even more exciting, I think, it was just reported that our 2023-2024 grade 7 ELA scores were just ranked 3rd in New York State.
We'll take the bronze. I'm in.
3rd in
I'm
New York
in. We'll
State.
take the bronze.
I'm sorry, exactly. I'm
I'll
sorry
take
that
the bronze.
image isn't larger.
Where's the bronze? I don't see the award up there. It should be the bronze.
I agree, 100%.
Congratulations.
You can see the company that we're in up there, and,
That's
and it's
terrific.
quite impressive. So
Yeah, that is.
I
That
just
is
wanted
amazing.
to point those things out.
That's pretty cool.
I'm really proud of the work we've done over the past 4 years or so to build a really strong foundation for literacy success, which definitely began with the overhaul of the grades 6 through 8 reading, writing, and grammar curriculum, and also our shift to a workshop model of instruction at the middle school. Also, the work we continue to do at the elementary level, like bringing on the Hegarty program to enhance our phonemic awareness in kindergarten, the word love, the academic vocabulary, and grammar lessons that we've embedded into our reading and writing workshop, and our professional development and literacy learning walks around evidence-based literacy practices. These have all really been very well received by the teachers and students who are learning in such fun and engaging ways. So I just wanted to point
No, I'm
out.
glad you pointed this out. I think
Yeah.
it deserves a moment to celebrate what's been done and all the positive energy that's been put into it. And I do want to thank our English department, if you will, for helping to accelerate our students. That's quite the, I didn't know about that. I don't know if that, Jerry, you surprised us with that, or I didn't know that.
We
So
were
that's great
keeping
news.
it under wraps until
So-
tonight. We wanted
That's
to.
So, Ms.,
incredible.
oh, sorry, Katie.
No, I just
Megan,
wanted to
sorry.
ask a question. Do you know with the professional development that we did 6 through 8 with Sarah Cordova, has she also collected that kind of research with other middle school models that have shifted to the workshop? just curious
You know
if
what,
she
I've
would.
never actually asked her that question. You know, the bulk of her work is actually on the elementary level. She
Yeah.
doesn't as much work with middle schools, so I don't know how much data she would have collected. But that's definitely something I could check in with her about and
Yeah,
report
I
back
would
on.
just be curious about that. I know that, seeing those results after you did that curriculum work, and it's enough time that you see the implementation. It's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it took a few years for everything to catch up to itself,
Sure.
right? So these seventh graders have been the first ones to fully go through the brand new
program.
units. So,
That's
so really
exciting.
good work. Yeah.
That's good work.
And just a quick note about the high school English language arts progress. The high school has been using a new curriculum and assessment resource called Common Lit 360. It's helped us to even further align to the next generation ELA standards, and it's also providing us some good new data tools that we can use to inform our instruction and to adapt to the literacy needs of our high school students. We've also implemented a high school writing center and an AIS writing lab. That period is for students that were identified through our MTSS plan and through our ELA assessments who could use some help developing their writing skills.
Right.
And we've also created a multimedia studio and have mapped out our New York State digital literacy and informational literacy skills and standards. so that interdisciplinary research projects, presentations, podcasts, recordings, green screen, makerspace innovations, all of that can happen here with the help of our high school librarian and the creative collaborations that are now taking place with the high school teachers and students. Some of them are here tonight. Mr. Botnis and our students have been wonderful in helping us try out all of this great new material. So,
May I ask you a question, Ms. Waldbauer, related to, so we know high schoolers, it's never cool to need special help, right? So when we go back to the writing center or some of the extra support services that are being offered, how are you maybe speak for a moment, are kids showing up, or is it mandated they go, or is it a voluntary thing, kind of?
good question, good question. So the Writing Center is a drop-in.
Okay.
So we've actually seen a lot of success with that so far, with students who come from all different subject areas
Yep.
with help writing science reports or research papers, or a lot of college essay support has been happening in the
Oh, of course,
Writing
yeah,
Center.
right, this is that time of year.
So, yeah, and we've made it a very, you can't see it behind over there, and it's dark right now, but we've put in lots of very inspirational, motivational posters and supports, and we're just trying to make it a very
promote
inviting
it.
place for the students to go. And with the establishment of the ASC here, students have already started to become, I guess, comfortable coming to the library to come for extra help, to meet with teachers. So this is just like another avenue for them to kind of go,
100%.
Get a different type
Another
of more
resource.
focused support on writing.
So I guess the tip at home is, if anyone's watching this and they're a high school parent and their child is having trouble, whether they're trying to write a college essay or maybe difficulty with a report, that's the opportunity then.
Open most periods of the day. The schedule is up there for everybody to see. We do staff it most periods of the day. We try and especially get the lunch periods when we know students have lunches or study halls or free periods.
Neat.
And
What was
yes.
that, free candy given out? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. How to attract kids to...
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I'm
but
just teasing. That was not, there's a disclaimer on that one, no candy. I'm just kidding.
We, even just the grammar and the editing and the
Absolutely.
revision and getting some feedback. And again, this is our first year of implementation.
Yep.
The sky's the limit in terms of how it can grow, maybe eventually having, peer editing going on, some, as Mr. Dean has mentioned, English Honor Society students could get involved. So we have a lot of ideas about how to grow this, after this first year of kind of getting our feet wet.
That's great.
Yeah.
Mike, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just curious on the schedule, when you have, I think it's G and B, what is it, different locations?
No, gold days and
Oh,
blue
oh,
days.
gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so we alternate the days when the students can come meet with a teacher.
To make this sort of interactive, can I ask, Mr. Dean, I'm going to put you on the spot. So I know that you probably don't go to the Writing Center. Are you someone who volunteers in the Writing Center or do anything around it?
I've never volunteered in the writings. It is,
Not yet. We
I was
haven't
just going to
gotten
say,
that far
well,
yet.
guess what? Guess what?
but to Ms. Waldbauer's point, I know a lot of people who do go to the writing center, and mostly for college essays, and it's been really helpful.
Excellent.
So.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for that. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I wanted
No,
to
don't
hear
worry
from a
about it.
student. It'd be great to see if it's used.
I think it's all the other stuff that Nick's doing too that prevents him from
Probably. I know he's got no free time at this point. We talked about this once,
For
right?
sure. I have a senior at home right now, and I wish we had a writing center in my home district, that's for sure.
Well, thank you, Ms. Waldbauer.
So it's
Appreciate that.
it's been a great
Yeah, it's a great
start.
addition
Yeah.
to the program. Thank you for that. I just wanted to point it out. It's a highlight, another great highlight of our program.
Quick question on the Common Lit pilot. So what is the relationship between like the Common Lit and our English department? What sort of feedback is provided, and how's that pilot working?
Yeah, we actually just had a planning day today, believe it or not. The
Okay.
teachers were together. They're planning by grade level. Common Lit is a resource that they've actually, it's been a free resource for many years, and it's one that the teachers were kind of familiar with using as a resource. They have expanded into full-blown units and also added a lot of assessment components. So those are the features that we're really honing in on in
Okay.
our work this year, because we want to bring a little more consistency to the units by grade level, and also use more, like I said, data to inform our instruction. So the assessments that are built in to the units. There's also benchmarking assessments. We've been trying those out as well and, getting some good feedback from those that have helped us plan forward.
So if you notice like questions that are wrong or need development, is that like something where the students are not being penalized for, for like questions that might need development or like put back to Common Lit as these questions were inaccurate, or, how is that, like, that communication or recording of almost the data, not on how our students perform, but how Common Lit is performing? That makes sense?
Do you mean how it's fitting the needs of the district, like how it's aligned to our standards?
No,
and-
more like as Common Lit continues to develop their curricular writing programming, and maybe some questions need to be removed or
Oh, I see what
build
you're
out.
saying.
Like,
I see
I've
what
just
you're saying.
noticed there's inaccuracies sometimes.
Yes.
So
I hear
do
you.
we kind of give our students like a
Yes.
pass on those sort of assessments as we're using them, in other words?
Yes, for sure. And that's the beauty of a pilot. We haven't
Okay.
fully adopted. We're still,
Okay.
And on their end also, we work very closely with an account executive who takes our feedback immediately. She actually zooms in to our work sessions.
Okay.
And we're able to, in real time, ask questions, provide feedback,
Okay,
on
great.
how the kids are doing, what questions worked well, what could be adapted. So they're very open to our feedback. And yes, we would never, penalize the students in any way for something that's not fully developed yet.
Okay.
But so far, we've found it to be a really very valuable tool, especially just for, like I said, bringing the units together, having some common goals, skill building. The assessment piece has been, a nice addition to the high school English program.
Okay.
Any other questions about literacy? English literacy?
Nope, thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to English as a new language. So just so that you are aware, like we have English language arts standards to follow from the State Ed Department, the Shoreham-Wading River English as a new language program also has to follow guidelines from the State Ed Department. They're called CR Part 154 guidelines. And we do each year have to provide assurances that the district has a plan that is a detailed outline of how we meet the needs of all of our ENL students and our families. And, what we do is based on these state education department requirements. We added this year a standard operating procedure and checklist for how we screen and identify and place and review our ELL students. So that was this part of this year's SEAP plan, which I believe this new standard operating procedure is a really great essential, it's almost like a to-go quick guide for our district office, for the buildings, so that we all have, very clear protocols to follow when it comes to, those ENL components. We also administer the NICESLAT each spring. We schedule services and monitor ENL student progress in accordance with this plan. And we also make sure our ENL and co-teachers have ongoing professional development and a wealth of resources to address the unique language acquisition and cultural needs of our ELs. So our ENL program also includes many opportunities for family outreach and also the dissemination of information and resources to support the families. And we're always very conscious of doing it in their preferred home language as well as English. Here is an overview of how we identify and assess our ENL students from 1 through 4, using the HLQ to the to a SIFE screener as needed, NICETEL assessments, the NICESLAT assessment. Each spring, the students are tested in the 4 domains: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. We always track this data and, of course, use it to, appropriately assign the services to the students. We also have a shared data expert who assists us with our data analysis, and our BOCES Ed technology coach also for ENL supports. They come with many tools and apps that we use with our K-12 ENL program. all with the goal of helping students to get to the highest level of English language proficiency so that they can exit the program. So here's a picture of where we are. As I mentioned earlier, the State Ed Department, the assessments, the NICETEL and the NICESLAT, dictate the minutes of services or units of study according to the Part 154 plan that I just mentioned. For this year, based on the NICESLAT assessment from the spring, or the NICETEL for any new entrants that we may have had, or those that didn't have a previous level, or like our kindergartners or some transfer or newcomer students, here is an outline of where they fall. So the requirements for the number of minutes of ENL services for grades K to 8 slightly differ from the number of minutes for grades 9 through 12. And that's because the high school students, the entering and emerging, have a much more intense number of minutes to kind of make up for that loss of time. So we have 6 students at the entering level district-wide, 2 at the emerging level, 8 at the transitioning level, 12 at the expanding level, and 5 at the commanding level. So for a total of 33 students this year. In general, our ENL population has remained pretty steady. We've fluctuated by a few students here or there, up or down, but we've been averaging, I went back the past several years since I've been here, and we've been averaging 34 students over the last several years.
Ms. Walbar, how many different languages? I know a lot of times the assumption is just Spanish, but is there? Oh, it
That's
is on
my
the
next
slide. Okay.
slide.
Oh, hey.
Thank you, Mr. Sheridan.
There you
Perfect
go.
timing.
All right, hey.
Moving
I
right
could write
along.
these decks. Just
Yes.
kidding.
I just had a quick question.
Sure,
On
sure.
the previous slide.
Sure.
Can you just kind of give a quick synopsis of the ENL level, what that means? So when you're talking about emerging, transitioning,
Yeah.
is that like their level of mastery or? Okay.
That's their English language proficiency.
Okay, got it.
So it's how far, how much they've mastered the English language in those 4 domains that I mentioned, which I'm not going to be able to remember right now, but speaking, I wrote them out before and I can't remember, but in the 4 domains, it's their proficiency level.
Okay.
Taken as a whole, the speaking, the reading, the listening, and the writing. Those are the 4
Okay.
that they're tested on. So as they go up in levels, that their proficiency becomes higher and higher. So we're actually lucky to have, quite a number of students at the higher levels, which requires fewer minutes of services. Any other questions? Okay, so back to the languages. And I do find this fascinating as well. We do have 6 different languages spoken this year. So we have 4 students who are Mandarin speaking. We have 23 Spanish speaking students. We have 2 Turkish speaking students, 1 Urdu, 2 French students, and 1 Russian student. So that's our makeup for this year. And it does fluctuate from year to year. We've had Korean, we've had Portuguese students over the last few years. These are our fabulous ENL teachers. Just so everyone knows, an ENL certification is a K-12 certification. That gives us flexibility in accommodating the various levels across the 4 buildings. We also benefit from teachers with dual certification who are able to provide integrated ENL services to ELs in their core content classrooms, like Mr. Gilly there. He often works with ENL students in his core English class. I cannot say enough about these kind, caring, and multitasking teachers who provide the support to the ENL students and to the families. They often travel between buildings, have many co-teachers to collaborate with, many subjects and grade levels to support. But when you see them with their ELs or in the main office helping with a translation, or in the guidance office checking in on attendance, or in the libraries and cafeterias helping to actually connect kids to other language speakers or find them friends, to sit with, you could really see the passion that they have for what they do. Another benefit we have in Shoreham-Wading River is that we are a member of the Long Island Arborn, which is a Title III consortium that provides many benefits to our district ENL teachers, to our students, and to our programs. As you can see listed here, the mission of the Arborn is to develop and strengthen the skills, the knowledge, and the competencies of educators, parents, and the local communities. They also provide technical assistance, again, professional development, and a lot of resources and materials to help us support the academic achievement of our ELs. This year's theme, they have a theme every year, is connecting communities through digital storytelling. So we are really excited because we have some creative plans, and we're preparing to showcase our students' digital stories, our ELs, later on in the school year when we have our spring family literacy night. So we're using Storyboard, Pixton, we may be podcasting. Again, Mr. Botanist, I may be relying on you for some help. We're going to use all these wonderful resources in the library to put some interesting things together for our spring celebration of learning. And finally, in terms of family and student engagement over the years, we've done a lot of exciting things. We even were, written up in the Beacon for our program, through COVID and our Saturday enrichment and summer programs. But we really do try and have family nights in the spring and in the winter or the fall. We partner with North Shore Public Library. Last spring, we took a trip to the Vanderbilt Museum and Planetarium. You can see the students there all together, kind of coming out of the museum. Again, we have a lot of participation in the Seal of Biliteracy, and we are making sure we always have a lot of communication tools and enhance the homeschool connection through apps like Parent Square, something we recently added to Xerox machines that help us with translation. Language buddies, just a lot of good supports for our ELs. And a lot of happy faces out there. You can see even Mrs. Teppenhart there at the Ducks game with us a couple years ago. Behind her, one of our students who's actually, we're hoping to have a fundraiser on her behalf. She's been a little ill recently. So we're planning to embed that into our upcoming February family E&L night. So more to come on that. To bridge kind of the E&L program and the World Languages program, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to the New York State Seal of Biliteracy program that has been growing in the district. Again, really good data here, really good numbers. You can see the growing, the upward trajectory there in terms of the number of students who have earned the New York State Seal of Biliteracy. We established the program in 2021, 2022, and since that school year, we've grown exponentially in the number of awards and also the variety of languages. I'm also really proud to say that we have 3 E&L students who have earned the seal over the past 3 years, which, from what I understand across the state, is actually amazing. It's not always, they don't always get to that final award. So we're really proud of that as well. If you take a look at the chart, you can see we've had ASL, French, Korean, Mandarin, Portuguese, and Spanish.
Wow.
And the last bar is what's projected for this year.
Wow.
So hopefully, again, they all make it to the finish line and meet all the criteria.
Almost a double between this year and...
Exactly. Quite an increase.
Yep.
So really proud of that. And again, that's a program for all students.
Fantastic.
With the Seal of Biliteracy, as you know, they need to go through some rigorous criteria. They have to demonstrate a high level of proficiency in their English language and either in their home language or the language of study, the foreign language of study. So that takes me to foreign languages and world languages, which is a wonderful thing to have in a school district, and especially all of the different types of languages that the students could use to get and earn that seal. Here we have ASL, French, and Spanish. In Shoreham-Wading River, students begin a study of world language in grade 6 with a half year of French exploration and a half year of Spanish exploration. Students then choose to move into a French or a Spanish language in 7th grade, and then they typically stay on that pathway through high school. Some students pick up the study of ASL as an elective in high school, and actually some do both, another language plus the ASL. All students must earn at least 1 unit of foreign language to graduate, but the majority of our students continue their language study through at least 10th grade or beyond, which again is impressive. especially if those students are looking to earn an advanced Regents diploma or if they would like to pursue the Seal of Biliteracy upon graduation. I'm pleased to report that over the last several years, we've added dual enrollment, language courses through Stony Brook's ACE program in Spanish, French, and ASL. We've added AP Spanish and an ASL 4, which have expanded opportunities for our students and also promotes cultural awareness and appreciation. Some students leave Shoreham with 6 college credits in their language of study. One of the goals that came out of the district's strategic planning was increased access to world languages. So I'm very proud of how much our program has grown. We continue to hold annual National Foreign Language Week celebrations. We've added world language clubs at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And we even have a new Spanish and French teacher. So this year, I'm even more excited about where the world language program will continue to grow. So these are the standards. The world language standards have recently undergone a revision. The assessments are kind of following in step. The new standards really hone in on college, career, civic, and world readiness. They also focus on cultural understanding, authentic materials, language learning, and experience. The resources that we get from state ed and from the NYSWALA organization have really supported us in the language department to be prepared for this change in standards and assessments. So we are lucky to have had that partnership. And here is the timeline of the implementation of the new exams. Again, depending on what year you start your language study. So last year, 23-24, the checkpoint A, we give in 8th grade, not 7th grade. So the 8th graders took the new exam last year, and our results were very strong. Happy to report.
Good.
Our checkpoint B, which is taken in 10th grade in this district, not in 9th. So we're planning to and preparing for that assessment to change for the 26-27 school year. So again, we're still learning about the different items. They've been tweaking their rubrics. We're getting ready for those new assessments.
So Ms. Walbauer, when is the final assessment? Is it just an ongoing effort? They're just changing it on the fly, or? You know where I'm getting at? So is there a final destination or time that there'll be a final?
So by 2028, 2029, all checkpoint A, B, and C assessments will have changed. In this district, we don't give the NYSWALA checkpoint A and checkpoint C assessments. We shift to the AP, and we have the dual enrollment courses. Those upper level classes have their own they create their own checkpoint C college assessments.
Okay.
So we don't, in this district, we don't give the checkpoint C exams. So we've been just focused in on the shift to the checkpoint A, which took place last year for our 8th graders, and the checkpoint B, which will be changing for our students in 26-27.
So the question I have is, if I was a parent at home, should I be concerned if students didn't do well on checkpoint A? What's the follow-up?
So there isn't, because they're regionally developed exams and not state level exams.
All right, so it's local, we do them?
It's
Okay.
local, yeah.
Got
So
it.
there's nothing.
Okay, there's no necessarily, okay.
And to be honest, we rarely have a failure. So I can't even think of a time where we had to even worry about that,
All right,
actually.
just curious, I just want to understand it.
Yeah. Any other questions about the assessment piece or the new world language standards? Okay, so again, we like to be active and make real-world connections and partnerships in our world languages program. Like I said earlier, partnering with the ACE and the AP programs, choosing to have a New York State Seal of Biliteracy program for our students. We take field trips and run assemblies. For example, you can see the ASL Level 3 and 4 students recently attended a performance of The Christmas Spectacular at Radio City Music Hall. This was interpreted by American Sign Language by Hands On, an organization dedicated to making cultural arts accessible to the deaf community and individuals with disabilities. Our World Languages Clubs, they continue to offer unique cultural opportunities, and the peer mentoring Spanish program has become very popular. You can see there some of our students in that program experiencing the Tio Nadal log, which is from Barcelona. That's what they do around the holidays to get presents. Students also created posters of their own school stores selling school supplies in Spanish in a market simulation where they bought and sold from their shops. So like I said, real-life applications. With the new standards on board and time for a program review, our Spanish teachers have also been previewing some new curricular resources from Vista Higher Learning and from Savas. So there's a lot of exciting times and things going on for our World Languages Department in many ways. And with that, I say thank you. And if you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer.
So Barbara, I have a quick question. So when we have students come into the district from an ENL perspective that speak like Urdu, for example, or Turkish, how are we accommodating those students? Are we using BOCES as a resource, or so I'm assuming that our teachers, all of our ENL teachers are not fluent in every single language, so.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So when you are trained as an ENL teacher, you learn how to talk to the students in different modalities. You use a lot of pictures, you use a lot of movement and hand gestures. Believe it or not, there are so many languages spoken across New York State, and there aren't teachers, certified in all of those languages, and yet we do have a lot of success with our Ls. We have done things like with our Mandarin-speaking student, the English language acquisition was going okay, but some of that math, that doesn't translate very well. We were able to purchase Google earbuds that was able to translate as the teacher taught. So the teacher and the student wore the buds, and they were
pretty
able
cool.
to then, hear the
Cool,
math
right?
happening in their own
Who knew?
language. We just keep
That's neat.
adapting. We look
Yeah.
for new. That's why having those resources, the Long Island R-Burn, is just so very helpful.
I'm impressed.
Because it does require a lot of help. We also seek out community members, and we literally find kids in the school who might be English speaking, not an L, but we know speak Mandarin. And we've actually brought them together during home base and introduced each other and kind of buddied them up. So it works, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, you're ahead of me, because I actually, over the break, saw that technology with like the earbuds that translate every different language. You can set it to whatever you need, and so it's really interesting to hear that we're utilizing that technology.
And I have to thank Mrs. Zambrano. She happened to be at a workshop through BOCES, and she met a teacher from a district they were using it in their district, so she brought it back here, and we researched it. So that networking, and the ENL teachers do a lot of, they're very resourceful, and they do a lot of networking to help the kids.
Sounds like we have creativity and adaptive environments that we're running, so it's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Any other questions, Ms. Walbauer? Thank you again. I want to thank the English department and obviously the ENL teachers for all they do, and it's terrific. Thank you for this update.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Okay, next up, we have under reports and reviews, our enrollment and class size update, Mr. Brian Hayward.
I guess they all like my topic.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about enrollment. We want to know how big the class sizes are.
Okay, so basically, I've done this each year that we do a review of our enrollment. I'll start with the Miller Avenue School. As you can see, we're looking to have 125 students projected for kindergarten. That keeps us with 6 classes, around 20.8, which is close to what we have now, 20.5 with 123 students. The rest of the projections are based on moving the current grade levels forward. The average class size for each of the grade, for all of Miller Avenue would be 20.2. And we would include a contingent position within the budget in case we do get an additional kindergarten. I know usually if you get up to like around 140, then you're up to, 20 or more students. So then we look to possibly add an additional section of kindergarten, like we've done in the past.
Mr. Hayward, how do you project the 125 for kindergarten?
Through a company that we have, we work with in Michigan. They do like 4 different methods of doing it, and it's been pretty consistent, that we get. But we found that they use a lot of numbers. This also does not include the special ed, which is like the RISE students or the self-contained learning center students. So I extract that from their projections, so that we have that.
So we're pretty consistent, ultimately. It's looking pretty consistent for next year.
Right. That's what I wanted, the big thing I needed to mention with Miller Avenue is if you look, by doing this, we'll have one less section because we'll have one less first grade section, so overall we'll be down one class at Miller Avenue. Wading River, we remain the same with 19, the same as this year with 19 sections. Average class size of 21.9. Again, you can see we're still maintaining, we've been doing this for years now, is making sure that we're staying under the 24 class size number at the Wading River School. Any questions, Wading River? Looking at the secondary enrollment, as you can see, the sixth grade, the middle school as a whole is going down 39 students. We're down to 6th and 8th grade, a little up in the 7th grade. In the high school, we're down just 3 students. You can see a big influx in the 9th grade, but then, that little dip is going through down around the 11th grade now. So that's pretty consistent, and a slight dip at the middle school. Looking out for the next few years, Okay, looking at, what we currently have what we have for the 24-25, I'm going all the way out to 29-30. Again, this is moving each of the grades, ahead. Over that period of time, we'll be down 55 at the middle school and down 60 at the high school. But it's slow and pretty consistent. Some years a little bit up, some be a little bit down, but with steadily on the decline. And that's just basically just moving what we currently have at our elementaries up through the middle and high school.
So if we think about average class size, so right now it looks like incoming is 125 for kindergarten, we're steadily around 150-ish.
Right.
Okay.
And that's going to continue when the elementaries, get up to, 2030 and on.
Okay.
This is looking at the district-wide enrollment from, this year. We're at 1887, and then going all the way to 2930, at 1671. So that's a decrease of 216 students, spread out amongst all of those grades.
And that'll be a 5-year period, you're looking at 1, 2, 3,
Right.
4, 5.
And really, after you get to the second or third year, it's not reliable. So it really is hard to look 5 years out. So usually, just generally the second or third year, you're pretty strong in what you have.
A crazy thing, does the company we work with, I may not know the answer, I'm just throwing it out, do they look at real estate trends like turnover of housing at all, do you know?
They do.
Okay.
Rather than go down.
What's that?
I think based on turnover, it would go up to a certain extent or stay flat as opposed to.
We have no new construction. We have no new neighborhoods being built. We don't have a large rental community. So those are the factors that they're looking at. They look at also the turnover in home sales, and who is moving out versus who's moving into the homes.
Yeah.
So they look at those factors.
Didn't they report several years ago when we were looking to add classrooms, wasn't there a report
That was
a lot less than what we actually had enrolled?
We did that through another consultant, through BOCES.
Okay.
And we found this one is much less expensive, and the results have been pretty good.
Accurate?
And we're only really using them for the kindergarten projections for the next 5 years.
Okay.
We're finding that it's more consistent as compared to like when we use the BOCES to go through and just carry through our current numbers. So you're usually generally within a 4-student range within a grade level, really, would you know, get more or less of that for any given year?
So this set of data, you're only using the service for kindergarten, and the
Right.
rest is
The gray areas
internal
are the
data?
ones that is projected through the company from Michigan. Okay, the blue areas, that's our current numbers, just moving them forward.
And
So the 216 is pretty accurate, though.
Yeah.
And the reason to like 0% attrition is because you're negligible losing a couple of kids and adding a couple of kids every year? Like, why do we carry over the same number of students each year? I'm assuming there's kids that move out of the district.
Right, but then they were also balanced out by new
Right.
students that move into the district.
And also that number at the bottom is 1887, right? Not 1935?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, sorry.
So, I'm sorry, which number is wrong?
It's not
No,
wrong,
my
it's-
calculation. It should be 1887, where it says 1935 at the bottom.
The 216 is still right?
216 is right.
Yes.
Thank you.
You catch that?
Any other questions?
I just have a question. I'm not sure if you can answer this, but as far as like athletics, and
That's a good question.
you know, you hear rumors about dropping in divisions or moving into a lower, I guess, competitive based on other schools' enrollment numbers. How is that determined, and when does that get, I guess, announced? If we're
You're right, that's not a question for me.
okay. I mean, it's a direct enrollment, I guess.
It is partially enrollment, but it's also partially performance, so you can move up and down levels on your success.
Sure.
You know, along the way.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was all about just
Well,
enrollment
your
numbers for certain
section, but
sports.
if you're DC, so we have moved from, I don't know if Shoreham has moved, but I've been in other districts where the district moves up or down a group of schools. So you used to play this group, even though you're the same population, but you perform terribly, you may go down a group.
It sounds like it's different for every sport, which is very complex. It's not a simple
Yeah.
formula or
There's probably 50 pages per sport for NISBA, for what the guidelines is and how you make those movements. But school districts do, with, 1,700 students, have a full athletic program, and carry all this, and continue to carry all the sports. So I know when we did the first strategic plan back in 2019, we had a couple of meetings to go over, like, how are we going to handle, all of this? And some of it that we talked about in those few meetings was at times merging JV and varsity when you don't have a JV team to keep the program alive, and doing some of those things.
I would imagine that enrollment trends in other districts also impact where we land, because.
It's relative to those things, yeah, yep.
And then the last we have is just a projection, since, as I said before, we took the special education out. And so it's still early in the year while we're doing the annual reviews, but we're looking at probably one section of RISE at the Miller Avenue again, up to 2 sections of Learning Center, and the integrated co-teaching, again, depending on the number of students in inclusion. With the rise of the Wading River, depending on the numbers, we're looking at 1 or 2 sections. We had 1 last year, we upped it up to 2 this year, just so we might be going back to 1. Learning centers, again, 1 or 2 sections, and then integrated co-teaching depending on the other students, or how many students we have, whether it be 4 or 5 sections for next year.
Very good.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions? All good? Thank you, Mr. Hayward. Okay. Next up will be our votes and resolutions. May I get a motion for the approval of our December 10th, 2024 special public meeting minutes? Motion. Jim L., Jim S. Any discussion or questions? Okay to vote? All in favor, 7-0. Next up will be our November 2024 Treasurers Report. May I get a motion? Megan, second Jim L. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 7-0. Next will be our Board of Education resolutions. There are 3 of these. They go from 2425-106 to 2425-108. May I take these as a block? Okay to do that? Okay. May I get a motion, please? Jim S, sorry. Mike? One day I'll get it down, just so you know. All in favor? 7-0. I did want to call out on these resolutions. One of them was to accept a donation of a MarkerBot 3D printer for Wading River School. I just want to thank Ms. Margraf for all her efforts to obtain this 3D printer for the Wading River School Library. Thank you again for all of that. I did want to thank the acceptance of 107 was an acceptance of a donation for the New York School Bus Contractors Association. We want to thank Mr. Tom McEnany for his service for over 30 years on the school bus transportation, demonstrating safety, performance, and maintenance, and training, as well as active involvement in our community. So thank you for that, Mr. McEnany, for that donation. Just want to share that with the community. Next up will be our curriculum and instruction resolutions. This section just has two. May I take these as a block, 2425-109 and 2425-110? Okay? Okay, may I get a motion? Henry, second Mike. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? 7-0. Did want to call out the Quinnipiac University. I think that's great, Jerry, what we're doing for that OT student, former student. That's terrific. Next is our business and operations resolution. In this section, I think there are six resolutions, 2425-111 to 2425-116. Okay to take as a block? Very good. May I get a motion, please? Mike? Jim S.? Any discussion or questions? Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, 2425-111, 2425-116, particularly with 116. How confident are we in the future as far as utilizing prices off of government contracts when originally the bathroom renovation at Miller Avenue came in twice as much as going out to bid?
Sure. It came in at 405 versus 246, so it wasn't twice as
But big enough
much.
difference for me to ask the question. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
There are different projects where you pull off contract. There are different projects you go out to bid for. There are pros and cons. We specifically did not go with the 405, not only because it was a higher cost than we had anticipated it to be, but it was quantified by the architect. It was just too costly. Even on this particular bid at $246,000, that's a very low bid out of the 7 bids received. We are in a low bid environment. There is going to be additional work to manage this contractor. So there's the pro and the con. If a job off contract came in at $275, $280, it might be advantageous because the contractor maybe has a more proven track record that we would be comfortable spending that additional $20,000 in order to get a better job.
Who's managing that? I guess that
We are.
Where is the checks and balances as far as the costs? Where is their expertise lie in evaluating the bids and understanding if it's a good number or not? Because in the past, we've seen estimates from our design team be very high.
I think attached as the backup documentation for this particular bid, you could clearly see the bids received ranged from $246,000 to $380,000. So even the bids received by our outside contractors, people of interest, showed a very wide margin related to cost. So to answer your first question, the district architect determines the value of the initial project cost, and they also evaluate the bids submitted for the project. There isn't a district person that is doing that quote cost analysis. We are definitely relying on the district architect for that. There was another question on a different resolution?
No,
I thought you had two.
111 was on the contract from Town of Islip, and this, it was just an example of the two.
Okay.
So.
So I think I've taken motions. Any other discussion or questions on these? Okay, all in favor? 7-0. Okay, very good. Next up will be our personnel agenda. May I get a motion, please? Katie? Jim S., second. Any discussion or questions on personnel? All in favor? 7-0. Okay. Next up, first, Ms. Kirsch, is there any communications tonight?
No, there aren't.
Okay. Next up, I did want to have us all have a conversation about our board goals, Board of Education 2025 goals. Thank you, Ricky. You could turn into the first one. So I want to see if there's feedback. I know that we've been trying to get these done and present it tonight. Thought it'd be great for us to just speak to what we are, as a board, aligned against for the district, part of really our own goals. The first up we had identified was to support the strategic plan. I'll just read these aloud and see if there's any feedback on what's here, any changes. Our priority is turning our strategic vision into meaningful action through systematic implementation of key initiatives with clear benchmarks to measure our progress. We focus on building collaborative partnerships between administrators, teachers, and staff to ensure coordinated and effective execution across all schools. This thoughtful approach allows us to adapt and refine our strategies while maintaining consistent focus on advancing student achievement and school excellence. And how we do that as a board is present and communicate strategic plan to all stakeholders in a clear and actionable format, support and monitor the implementation of year one key outcomes, review key metric results to consider additional action plans, and continue to align the budget to the strategic plan pillars. So I want to see if anyone has any feedback on that specific.
Yeah, so my only thought was, as a board, we're not going to be doing a ton of presenting and communicating about the strategic plan, but I think it's our responsibility to maybe, I would change that to like champion the strategic plan with all stakeholders. Hold ourselves accountable to kind of reminding the community about the strategic plan, or whenever we get questions, kind of reiterating what's included in the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, are you looking at present and communicate?
Yeah, the first one.
So in effect, to change the wording to champion the strategic plan to all stakeholders in a clear and actionable format was what you...
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds fair, because we aren't really presenting it. At the end of the day, we're supporting Mr. Poole with developing and executing on the plan. And as a board, that's a good way to place it, is we're really here to support you, Jerry.
I appreciate the support. Absolutely.
Carrying it out.
I really like that edit. I think champion is a good word to use. Champion, and by striking present, and communicate. Maybe for the next bullet then, we can mention something about the review of ongoing presentations. So like maybe that was the spirit of the first one. So maybe it's maybe we just strike support and then put monitor the implementation. Maybe you want to say like through ongoing presentations from administration.
Yep. Katie, I even like monitor and review.
Okay.
I like that, the implementation of year one key outcomes through ongoing, what'd you say?
Through ongoing presentations.
Right? Yeah, I like that.
Public, maybe we want to even say just like public
That's
to
even
clarify public presentations.
Public presentations, I like that. Okay.
And essentially the next bullet, I think, conveys what we do during those public presentations, I guess. I like that one.
Review the key metric results to consider additional action plans.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be said, right? So
Yeah.
that's good, right? That's a good outcome.
Surveys are coming.
Surveys are
Okay.
coming,
In
like
development,
that.
they're coming.
Like that. Heads up, everyone.
They won't be very long, please take them.
We do review them.
And then obviously continue to align the budget to the strategic plan pillars, I think is evident.
Tom, for that one, we don't necessarily, like, it's not our job to align the budget, it's administration's job, but I think for us to ensure that our programming and budget decisions are consistently aligned, the strategic plan might be the edit that I'd make there.
So ensure the budget,
I would also include our programming. I mean, it's not just the budget, but it's
Right.
how we implement our programming or, provide support to different programming elements that needs to be aligned to the strategic plan.
I'm thinking how we want to say that. So you want to say,
I wrote, ensure that our programming and budget decisions are consistently aligned to the strategic plan pillars.
okay, I like that. I couldn't catch that as fast as you said.
Read it again, Jim.
I like that a
Kirsty, did you
lot.
get that?
Can you
Good
hand that
stuff.
over to Georgette? I'm good with shorthand, but not that good.
I have it. I can.
All right, good. That'd be awesome. Thank you. I like it. All right, good. So I think we're good on strategic plan. Everybody good with that? Okay, we're
Yes,
going to
thank
move
you.
on to the next one. Next one of our goals would be district facilities and fiscal. So our primary fiscal commitment is preserving the high-quality programs that set our schools apart through careful and strategic financial management while remaining mindful of the impact on our community members' finances. Building on this foundation, we evaluate and invest in programs and initiatives that align with our strategic vision, ensuring we continue to meet student needs and achieve outstanding educational outcomes. In our capital improvement planning, our priority is maintaining healthy, safe, dry, that's a funny way of dry, but, and secure, secure school buildings through essential repairs and improvements. We then focus on designing dynamic, engaging spaces that serve both current and future educational needs. These thoughtful improvements create school environments that become genuine sources of pride, strengthening the bond between students, educators, and our entire community. And the ways that we would accomplish this is, as a board, support the implementation of the 5-year capital plan, develop and implement a 5-year safety and security plan that protects our students and staff, and support the integration of technology initiatives that enhance classroom instruction and student learning. I'll ask for some feedback on these bullets as well.
I think this is really beautifully put. I was just thinking that possibly, I got kind of stuck on the community members' finances verbiage, so I was thinking perhaps we can, in that first sentence, include the, in between the and impact in that final phrase, just include like maybe the word financial, so while remaining mindful of
The
the
financial
financial
impact,
impact
yep.
on our community, and then just strike the members' finances.
That's good. I like that.
And then
Pick
in the
that up.
second paragraph, I think all of us are just so proud of the current state of our facilities, even though we have a vision for improvements, but maybe we can strike become and just put the word are. So to just reflect that that we're not just seeking for them to change, to become something that they currently are.
That's good. Asserting that that's true. These thoughtful improvements create school environments
That
that
are
are
genuine
genuine, yeah, I like that.
sources, right. So it is inclusive of the future developments, but,
I like that. I like that word change.
Tom, third
Yeah.
bullet, maybe support the exploration and adoption of technology initiatives, enhance classroom instruction and student learning.
Exploration and adoption.
Explore the,
So right now we support the integration. Where would you place that in, Jim? Support the exploration is that what you're saying?
in the beginning.
Oh, so put it, yeah, show me where. So
So-
support so you'd put it right there, support the exploration, adoption and integration, is that what you're saying?
Adoption of,
Adoption?
instead of integration.
Oh, got it. So strike integration? Thinking about that. I like integration, adoption. I think adoption is, I don't mind exploration. I think integration is support the integration of technology initiatives. Support the exploration or adoption of. I think either one can work, Jim.
I think exploration might be assumed, though. If you're integrating, you're of course exploring it prior to. So I think support the integration of technology, I like as it stands.
You know where we could put it, Megan, is at the end, enhanced classroom instruction and student learning and exploration. That's where we could put it. If we-
Classroom instruction and student,
Yeah, learning and exploration, if
Okay.
that's what we feel as a board. Jim, does that work with what you're trying to achieve?
Sure, I mean, I think the messaging I was trying to
Yeah.
articulate is continue to, like what Ms. Wolbauer pointed out with like how they're using certain technologies and continue
Yeah.
to explore those
Yeah, no.
options to enhance student education and development.
All right, then I like that
So I
at the
don't
beginning.
have, I mean,
No.
I think there's an opportunity to include that.
Then I like it at the beginning. Support the exploration and integration, I like that. Now I got it. Now I got your message. Did I miss something? No, I think we got it. And you were saying adoption or adoption of?
Yeah, I mean, it's interchangeable. with
It's
integration.
interchangeable, yeah, okay. I do like the implement a 5-year safety and security plan that protects our students and staff as well. Anyone else have any other thoughts on this one? Good to go? Okay, that's district facilities and fiscal. Next is board operations. The Board of Education's primary focus is maintaining transparent and effective governance through consistent policies and procedure that support district operations. We prioritize clear communication and active engagement with all stakeholders, including administrators, teachers, parents, students, and community members. Our decision-making process emphasizes collaborative leadership that advances our district's mission while ensuring responsible stewardship of community resources. And how the board will achieve that is enhancing the Board of Education meetings by implementing a system for real-time question submission during meetings by residents, live streaming the meeting to provide even greater transparency and engagement opportunities. Continue to evolve and expand the role of ex officio student members to provide meaningful student voice in district governance, and create structured opportunities for student leadership development through board participation. See if you guys have any, does anyone have any feedback on this?
That first bullet
Yes.
seems super specific for a goal, and I was wondering if we broaden it by kind of leaving it, enhancing or deepening some sort of verb related to Board of Ed communications. One of the ways we'll do that is through real-time question submission, but I wonder if throughout the course of the next 6-8 months, there might be other ideas that we have to deepen communication.
well, to that end, I think that the use of shared stakeholder committees that we employ as a district is really important. I think it's a practice we should continue to really
Yeah, I probably need to
emphasize.
pull up a little bit. I agree, it's probably very, very, very specific. I just wanted to show that we did something, I could check the box.
Can we zoom out and broaden it?
You know,
Can we zoom out and broaden it to include that and also
I think
shared
so.
stakeholder committees?
yeah, so
We do
let's,
that in formal ways and informal ways, right?
so thinking out loud, right? So if the goal is, if our goal is really to be more communicative, right, with our community, the ways to do that are, I do obviously like the implementation of the real-time questioning. So is it continuing to enhance the Board of Education beyond meetings? Is it committees? So do we say other, I guess I'm talking out loud.
I don't know
too long.
if we're looking to be more communicative. I think we're looking to remove.
Engagement?
Yeah, like what can we do to remove the barrier to entry in terms of participation and engagement? Because, while it's not necessarily a problem to solve that we don't have anybody save one person here, there is a point of contention that does arise when there's a perceived lack of communication or a
Right, right.
perceived, miss in information.
So is it-
Perhaps we can work in authentic engagement into that description.
The word authentic engagement.
So I know it's more non-specific, but is it more of a, I wouldn't say platitude, but is it something we put out there that says that the Board of Education desires to continue to grow engagement and participation, right, in meetings and in volunteering for other committees? Is it something like that we're looking to achieve?
Well, I think if we keep it broad, like to
Yeah.
this point, we have action items. The action items that we're taking are outlined as metrics, but from a broader perspective, it's kind of like the business terminology we use, like meet the market where it's at, like meet our community where they are. Like not everybody's going to come to a meeting; they don't have time to do it.
Yeah.
So like in our statement, like the goal is to from a board perspective, is to increase our outreach and participation, or inform the community on a broader level. And board meetings are not the only, board meetings are not the only way to do that, as we see from attendance. So these are the things that we're looking to, we're exploring or implementing to enhance that. So it's, the questions for, the second discussion period that we're opening up, it's live streaming meetings, it's stakeholder meetings. I don't know if we necessarily have to call all those things out in this.
Yeah, but how is any of this stuff new?
It's continue to support
I mean,
opportunities
the
for
the
I'm not saying
questions
it's new,
during
I'm
live
saying
streaming is new, but
No, I know, I'm
what
saying
else are we identifying that we're doing to enhance
I don't know,
community
that's it.
involvement?
I
Well,
think
that's what I'm saying, does it have to be called out in this bullet,
I don't know.
like specifically?
I'm just-
What about, just throwing it out there, what about enhanced community engagement in the Board of Education governance process through a variety of methods? Enhanced community engagement, okay, and enhanced community engagement in the Board of Education governance process?
Are we creating a goal that's not achievable?
Maybe.
I just-
Maybe, yeah, no, I get it.
I think,
So here's-
part of the goal to continue to use, to enhance active engagement through shared stakeholders is a metric that's important. When we've established something that is very powerful and enlists the community, continuing to do that is important to do.
Just thinking.
I don't think, whether it's, you're talking about coffee and donuts about cell phone policy, I mean, I think we should just continue to support that. That's the work that Jerry's done.
Okay, so in other words, we are doing things maybe,
So are you saying we should serve donuts at our meetings? We get more participation?
I think, maybe
Depends where they
it's
come from.
continue to put it out to the community, but there is a lot of, I don't want to discount that there is a lot of opportunity for active engagement, because I think that the cabinet works really hard to do that, and there's a lot of opportunity to do that. So if we say that, we're continuing to do that, I think that honors that.
okay, so maybe continue to enhance is really the
Yeah, I think
message.
Mike was starting to hit on that.
Continue to enhance
Continue to-
community engagement in the Board of Education.
But don't we have to, so these are goals, don't we
These
have
are
to then
goals.
provide,
We should have something.
don't we have to
with it.
then, are we like, how are we moving to that?
One
If
that
we're
we're
saying
gonna
we do it
do-
already, how are we continue, how are we enhancing it, I'm guessing?
I think that one metric is that system for real time, and that's a
Right.
big lift. Even though we've done it before during COVID, I mean, those meetings were marathons, and we have to, I think it's gonna be through trial and error that we figure out how that really does work,
I mean, it's a model that you apply to different moving situations. So if you're talking about cell phone policy, and Mr. Poole creates an opportunity to bring residents together, and teachers together, and administration together, maybe it's a different topic, but continue to use that model is really what supports active engagement. And I think that when you change the issue, it's a practice that we're using that is important to still do.
Yeah, but these are board operations, so like, I'm confused, like what administration is doing with parent engagement is different than what.
Fair
this-
enough,
This says
okay.
enhanced Board of Education meetings, so,
Yeah,
know.
fair enough.
Do we get more specific and actually send out our own survey to see how residents would like to hear from or learn more about what the Board of Education is doing? I don't know. I'm throwing out ideas of how to make it measurable. Other than saying we're going to continue what we're doing, I don't know how else to specifically identify something very targeted, you know what I mean, that we achieve. That's all, just,
maybe it's not real, like I said, maybe it's not a realistic
it may not be.
bullet point. I don't know.
I just think there's a pretty significant distance between what goes on in our meetings and what the community hears and talks about.
course.
And trying to bridge that gap. I don't know how, maybe,
I don't either.
that this is one way, but are there other ways that we could be thinking about to?
I don't hate the idea of a survey, but the only thing that I would ask is if you put a survey out, that you're also detailing what the current structures are and
Good
giving
point.
examples of.
What do we
So,
do? Yeah,
as
how
part
do
of the questions, I think it's important. Sometimes people just don't have access to the information, so I think it's important to also state what you're currently doing, and then there should be examples.
So maybe this isn't something that gets fixed. Maybe it is just what kind of Mike was alluding to. It's just continuing to do the things that we're doing with the enhancement that we just made to the live streaming. I don't know what else to do here that is going to be much different or changes the paradigm of what's out there. I don't, you know what I mean?
I think it's worth keeping as a goal with, as continue to enhance community engagement.
Yep.
If we're doing anything to that end that's different and implementing, I guess I'm trying to say, implementing a system that actually works, and that people are engaging in that process of
maybe that's
submitting
a-
virtual meetings, you know?
Maybe that's the way to evaluate, Katie, is their success from doing this? If we get questions from the live streams, are you saying continue to enhance the Board of Education meetings, leave the bullet that's very specific, and evaluate if this is actually achieving, and that's a way we'd evaluate if it's actually working or not? I don't know how else to,
Can I ask a question? If you don't receive
all right,
emails,
I don't know, is
What
that
do
a
that mean
measure
to
of
you?
success? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I-
If everybody's happy out there, if we're not getting emails, I assume everyone's happy.
Where these emails go?
I don't know, right? What else would you say, right? I don't know.
Mr. Hayward, do you receive them?
Who received the email?
I have them open, so
Oh.
if they were to pop up, I'm watching and checking back, so.
Okay.
We're real time here, Mike. We were like,
So it's happening now, so is it okay?
So if anybody's watching, send it.
check
send
the box, we
question.
got it. Thank you, Ms. Carson. All right, so here's what I think we do, just because I don't think we're going to solve this tonight. I think we take Katie's, some of the enhanced language, to continue to enhance Board of Education meetings.
Continue to enhance community engagement in the Board of Education governance process, because that captures the committees too.
Okay.
If there's
Board of
something,
Education
and
committees.
maybe if the live streaming does go well and people utilize that as a resource and then that as a communication resource, maybe something like that could be possible for committees.
Yeah, I do understand Mike's point. I think you're right, Mike, when you talk about that's, you know, what the administration is doing. But I think as trustees, when we're part of those meetings, I think it provides important information to us as we kind of navigate whatever the topic is.
So live streaming meetings?
No, I'm just saying, I think that having committees and having authentic engagement and us being there does help to.
We have that already, though.
Yeah, but it almost sounded like you were saying that we can't really use that as a board because that's something that administration, but I think that.
No, you mentioned like the cell phone policy usage, where that's not really a Board of Education process. That was more of
It's
administration.
not, but I think participating as a trustee gives us really interesting insight and helps us then to make decisions.
Yeah, we kind of use that information then to develop the policies, you know.
I guess I'm
for
just
3
confused. I thought this
years.
was like what we're doing in the future to
It
further
is.
engage. So we have committees in place already that we
The only thing I
attend.
could see coming out of those
So-
committees, Mike, if we're putting an emphasis on board, if these are board goals, it would be, if a board member goes to that meeting, they truly bring an update to us, so the community
So board members
knows.
have to show up at committee meetings.
Yeah, or not just show up, but, Mike, I'm saying, no, I'm not saying that, Mike, I'm saying that they'd have to give a report then consistently, if that's what we're trying to do, if we're enhancing communication. If the goal,
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
We're establishing goals. I don't think that we necessarily need to establish the parameters by which we measure those goals tonight, right?
Yep.
The idea is really set the goal.
That's what I was trying to
I
get
think we're going a little deeper than what we need to at this point.
Exactly right.
we solve things here, Henry, that's why.
A man of few words.
I got it, I know, I always get into the weeds. All right, so let's stay with what Katie had proposed to enhance it, and we'll leave it for now, and we'll see where it goes, unless anyone has any other.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so those would be our goals. If Ms. Kirschis. if
John,
you-
can I just ask
Oh,
one question
yeah,
about the
sure.
last two? I'm not understanding the difference between the last two. So
Yep.
continue to evolve and expand the role of an ex officio student members, which, like, I don't mean to be provocative, but is to what end, I guess, is the question? Like, why do we want to, are we not at a point yet where that role is meaningful
yeah.
and where we want it to be?
I think our vision for it was, now it's more of a state mandate. I think we were in front of the curve by having students participate. I think early on, we didn't have really students saying a lot, being a
Yeah,
participant.
they didn't participate at all.
Now, at least, I hate to say it this way, we're giving students a role to not just effectively work on their communication, but they're giving us their updates. And I do believe, Mr. Poole, you can step in here, I do believe these ex officios are leaning in and providing some of their own color into the commentary as well.
They do. They take some simple information, collect their own. As a matter of fact, I had on mine, I typically have the student report on mine as just some bare bones. Actually, I didn't have it. That was all.
That was all Nicholas.
That was all Nicholas
was
along
nice.
the way. They do right now come up with a sort of a project or
Yep.
something that they want to bring to our attention, that's usually at the end of the, of the school year. They do
Yeah.
get the key parts of the agenda in advance
Mhm.
for the meeting as well, and encourage them to participate. Not always easy as a student to jump into an adult,
Of course.
conversation.
No, of
I guess that's my question is
Yeah.
like, do we need to continue to expand it? Or maybe it can continue to evolve, but are we expecting more?
So I think these are some of the things that we would aspire to as a board with ex officios, Jim.
Say that again?
I think it's somewhat aspirational, but I think the goal around it would be to give students an additional role. We didn't realize, I think, early on when we started this, we're getting a lot of students stepping up, wanting to be a part of this. So if you're bringing them a part of it, what is really their goal, other than the updates and just showing up and seeing the process kind of working? So,
So leaving that open to potential throughout
yes,
the course of the year?
learning, leadership, mentorship, I'm not really certain, but I think we started there, and that's why we had two different bullets, so.
Oh, and so the last bullet is outside of the ex officio student member?
Correct.
There's other opportunities?
Correct.
Okay.
Which would be something we'd have to work on with administration and otherwise with
Okay.
the building as
Got it.
well. But that's really, that would be a goal. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I like the idea of expanding that.
okay. All right, great. All right, so thank you for that conversation. So I think at this point, once these are set, we can go ahead and
We'll
post these.
put the
Yeah,
edits
edits in and we're
and
good.
bring back a final version.
Thank you.
and-
Final version to approve and go
Yep,
forward. Great,
yes,
Thank you,
yep.
Jerry. Thank you for that. Okay, Ms. Kirsch, is there any additional comments from residents, speaking of live stream and question and answer?
No, we don't have anything.
Okay. We've silenced the house. That's great. It was a good night. Really appreciate everyone's time and attention. May I get a motion tonight to adjourn? And I also want to take the motion, so this is always get, Jerry, do I motion into second exec, right? Okay.
Need a motion,
So
yep.
you're taking a motion to go into second exec for the reason of matters in which imperil the public safety. So let's do a motion, please. Megan, second Katie. All in favor? 7-0. Thank you all. Good night.